Hello. Good morning.
Good morning, Mr. President.
Thank you, Esther. Good morning. Sorry for this mix-up. I thought it was at 11 Central African time. Sorry about that. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, dear learned colleagues, le 8 mars de cette année, comme tous les 8 mars depuis plusieurs années, nous célébrons la Journée internationale de la femme qui reconnaît le rôle crucial de la femme dans la société sous le thème central qui a été retenu pour toutes les femmes et les filles, droit, égalité et autonomisation. Le Forum des femmes de l'Union panafricaine des avocats organise à l'occasion le présent séminaire, le présent webinaire, et nous en félicitons chaleureusement la coprésidente de ce forum, Simone Feokechan, et les dynamiques membres de son comité pour cette initiative louable. Vous avez dans ce comité choisi d'axer la réflexion de ce jour sur les femmes et les filles dans la science. Je crois pour attirer l'attention sur la nécessité d'avoir plus de femmes et de reconnaître leur place majeure dans ce domaine en brisant les barrières, réduisant le gap et en éliminant les discriminations dont sont ou peuvent être victimes les femmes et les filles dans ce domaine. Il s'agit donc de réfléchir à comment briser les stéréotypes, promouvoir les rôles modèles pour inspirer les jeunes filles, accompagner la promotion du leadership féminin par des programmes et politiques ciblés qui garantissent l'inclusion, la diversité et l'équité. Selon l'UNESCO, seules 19 femmes ont déjà gagné le prix Nobel dans les sciences, médecine, physique, chimie inclus. C'est 3% seulement des femmes, des attributeurs de prix Nobel dans le monde.
The Nobel Prize. And only 29% of women are recognized as researchers in the world, while we have always had women scientists in the world, like Marie Curie, since the 19th century, who has led the foundation of radiotherapy and also worked in physics.
The International Women's Day is not a day of celebration, only a day of celebration, but a call to action to accelerate gender justice. PALU, as the leading organization for lawyers across Africa, recognizes the crucial role of legal profession in advancing the rights of women and girls. The legal professions must lead by example, and PALU is committed to pushing for gender-sensitive legal reforms across Africa, training and mentoring young female lawyers and judges, advocating for equal representation of women in leadership. L'autonomisation des femmes en droit et leadership n'est pas simplement un devoir moral.
It is not only a moral duty, it is a necessity for democracy, justice, and progress. We should not only advocate of change, we have to ensure that the right of women is achieved throughout the legal system of Africa. So we should protect the right of women and make sure that they reach leadership positions. I would like to thank you for your attention and wish you successful deliberations within the framework of this webinar. I can see the high quality of the panelists, including the Madam Moderator, whom I can see on my computer. So we are sure that the deliberation will be very interesting given the high quality of the panelists. So once again, thank you very much and have a successful day and have a successful International Women's Day. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you. So good morning, dear participants. Good morning to all panelists. Good morning to the members of PALU. We have just listened to the opening statement of the president of PALU, Mr. Abdul Karim Bagui. And I would like to indicate that within the framework of the celebration of women's rights, which is celebrated every year on the 8th March, Palu, especially the Forum of Women, which is co-chaired by Maître Solange Koudjan, who had the great idea to organize this webinar, which will be focused on women and girls in science. We are going to listen to the statement by the co-chair of this Women's Forum. Then we will listen to the various panelists. Today, we have 4 panelists, high-quality panelists. We will start with Maître Flora Chebet, who is advocate to the High Court of Kenya. Then we will listen to Maître Richard Bichalonga, co-chair of the Committee on Environment of Palu. Then we'll have the privilege to have with us Maître Adeline Fedoum, advocate to the Bar Association of Cameroon, representative of the President of the Bar Association, East and South. And finally, we will close the webinar with the Madam Secretary of the Lawyers Order of the Bar Association of Cameroon, Maître Kalolong. And also, I will list the topics they will tackle, and then we will conclude with the President of the Lawyers Bar Association of Cameroon. Without further ado, I'm going to invite Madam Chairperson or co-chair of the Forum of the Palu Women's to deliver her opening speech. So, Maître Cachon, do you hear me? Yes, thank you very much, Edith. Thank you for giving me the floor this morning. So the Pan-African Union of Lawyers gave me the high privilege to co-chair the Forum of Women. So I continue to ask for your assistance so that I can carry out this duty. So on this opportunity of this International Women's Day, we are organizing this webinar, and we hope that the message we want to launch will be understood by all the stakeholders. So thank you to all panelists, and thank you to all stakeholders for your attention. Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Co-Chair. Thank you for your brilliant initiative of organizing this webinar. As I said previously, I'm going to list the various topics which will be addressed by our brilliant panelists. First, we will listen to Maître Flora Chebet, advocate of the High Court of Kenya. And the topic will be focused on girls in science and environment, followed by the intervention of Madame the representative of the President for the regions South and East of Cameroon, Madame Adeline Fogon, who is going to speak about the empowerment of women and girls. And the fourth panelist will be our secretary of the Cameroon Bar Association, Maître Kamiongon, who is going to recap and wrap up based on the 30 years elapsed since Beijing, from 1995 to 2025, what we can say about this period of time. Without further ado, I know that your programs are very heavy during this celebration week. and brainstorming week on the rights of women. We are going to start with Madame Maître Flora Chebec.
Yes. Hello.
Good afternoon. It's afternoon over here in Nairobi, Kenya. My name is Flora Chebet, advocate of the High Court of Kenya. I practice in Nairobi. We are based in Nairobi and we are working in a law firm called Flora C and Company Advocates. It's a pleasure to be here today and we'll be discussing the sub-theme of promoting inclusion and mutual understanding for women and girls in science. So we will start with the background. Did you know that women still make up only a third of the global scientific community? Women are still underrepresented in the scientific field. According to the 2024 UNESCO report titled Changing the Equation, Securing STEM Futures for Women, women hold just 22% of STEM jobs in G20 countries, which includes South Africa. So women and girls face persistent gender inequalities and systematic barriers in the field of science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So you find that, yes, there could be so many girls, like for instance, a study that was done in South Africa, many girls start school, the elementary level, but now when they get to the tertiary level, the numbers keep reducing. So this is because of the systematic barriers in the system and some of the challenges that could be attributed to poverty, like in the African region, it could be poverty, it could be lack of awareness, it could be something like female genital mutilation, it could be things like early pregnancy. So those are the challenges that women and girls face. The other aspect is that we also notice that women are outnumbered in higher education and in career and leadership roles in STEM. Yeah, so this could be also attributed to various challenges in the workplace. There's also another study that was done, and it's still by the United Nations, and it was found that women sometimes are subjected to lesser pay as compared to their male counterparts. So it is essential for us to dismantle these systemic inequities and also understand what women and girls go through so that we can be able to come up with solutions and to these challenges that are faced by women and girls in STEM. So in wholesome, when we look at these challenges and we see how to deal with them, we will be promoting inclusion for women and girls. We will also be creating a safe space for women and girls in science to thrive. So the other challenge that that women and girls face in this field is lack of data, like sufficient data, so that we are able to analyze the numbers and see where we can, and see the potential areas for improvement. Like for instance, in Kenya, there was, according to data that was provided by the Engineers Board of Kenya, this was a study that was done in 2023. Out of 2,501 registered professional engineers, only about 300 are women. Actually, only 211 at that time were women. So this represents like a percentage of 8.4. So which still means that women are still underrepresented in the field of science and technology. So we now delve into the laws that promote women, that promote and support women and girls in science. So we will look at the international laws, particularly the conventions and the treaties that support women and girls in science. So first of all, there is the Convention on the elimination of all forms of discrimination against women. This was adopted in 1979, and actually most countries have ratified it. So this convention provides a comprehensive legal framework for promoting gender equality, including science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. So there are some articles that I have picked that are relevant to our topic of discussion today. For instance, Article 10 on education, it ensures that women have equal access to education. So this includes the scientific and technical field. The other provision under Article 10 is that states are advised to eliminate gender stereotypes in curricula and teaching methods. They are also encouraged to encourage for education and access to scientific programs. Then they are also advised to offer scholarships and financial aid to women and girls in science. Article 10 promotes equality in the place of employment. So this means that women and girls should be accorded equal employment opportunities in all fields. Equal pay is also another issue, equal pay and equal conditions, so that now women and men, there's no disparity in payment for women and men in scientific fields. Then there's also protection from discrimination in hiring process. Article 12 promotes healthcare, so it indirectly supports women in science and fields, so by emphasizing their access to medical and scientific advancements. Article 13 is on economic and social life. So it promotes equal access to economic opportunities, including participation in STEM-related industries and entrepreneurship. There's also Article 14 on promotion of access and technological knowledge for women in the rural areas. We go to the second convention. This is the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which was adopted in 1948. This convention promotes the right to work, equal pay, and protection against discrimination in employment. So this convention also supports women and girls in science. There is also the International Convention on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights of 1966. This convention emphasizes equal rights for women and men in all fields, which includes science. There is also a recognition of the right to education, which includes technical and vocational training. Article 15 of this convention promotes the right to culture and science, which allows everyone to take part in cultural and scientific advancement. It also provides that individuals should enjoy the applications and development of science. It also promotes protection of intellectual property for creatives. We delve onto the next law, which is the Beijing Declaration on Platform for Action of 1995. This was adopted during the Women's Meeting Conference. So it specifically addresses the participation of women and girls in science, technology, and education, among other things. So there are some sections that I have picked out, like Section B, paragraph 82, which promotes improvement of women's access to vocational training, science and technology, and continuing education to promote life learning for women. It also eliminates occupational segregation and promotes equal access to all fields, including non-traditional careers in science and technology. We delve onto the next law, which is the UNESCO Convention Against Discrimination in Education of 1960. This one is a legally binding international treaty that seeks to eliminate discrimination in education and promote equal access for all. This includes the women and girls in science. So in Article 1, it discrimination or exclusion based on sex, among other factors. So this convention promotes equal access to education. So it makes primary education free and compulsory. It makes secondary education in its different forms generally available and accessible. In Article 5, it states that education shall be directed to the full development of the human personality and to the strengthening of respect for human rights and fundamental freedom. This convention, in essence, promotes the right to education for both women and girls in science. We will also look at the UN Sustainable Goals of 2015. Under Goal 5, it promotes gender equality, which supports women in leadership roles, including STEM. There's also quality education under Goal 4, which promotes inclusive education for girls in science and women. Goal number 9 is on industry, innovation, and infrastructure. This encourages women's involvement in scientific research. We will also look at the International Labour Organization's convention. We have convention number 100. This ensures equal pay in the STEM field. Convention number 111 prohibits gender-based discrimination in the STEM field. We will also look at the Paris Agreement of 2015. This promotes and recognizes importance of gender equality in climate science and technology. We now delve onto the regional conventions and treaties. We will start with the African Charter on Human Rights and Human and People's Rights of 1981. This particular treaty recognizes the right to education for all, promoting equal access to science and technology fields. It also calls for elimination of discrimination against women. So this essentially extends to science and technology field. Yeah. Then we also have the Maputo Protocol of 2003. This protocol promotes, it's the protocol to the African Charter on Human and People's Rights on the rights of women in Africa. This essentially ensures equal access to education, including STEM fields, by discouraging gender disparities. It also guarantees equal employment opportunities. We also have the African Union Agenda of 2063, which promotes gender equality in STEM, education, and research. It also encourages African countries to support initiatives like African Girls Can Code initiative. We also have the Southern African Development Community Protocol on Gender and Development, revised in 2016. It promotes equal access to STEM education for women and girls. We also have the ECOWAS, which is the Economic Community of Western African States Gender Policy of 2004, which calls for gender equity in education and employment. We also have the Eastern African Community Gender Policy of 2018, which aims to increase the number of women and girls in STEM professions. Having done the regional and the international law, we will just also look at our national laws. Actually, Kenya has also domesticated this international, the international conventions and the policies through Article 2 of the Constitution. So under the Constitution of Kenya, 2010, we have Article 27, sub-Article 4, which guarantees equal treatment and discourages discrimination based on sex. We also have Article 55 of the Constitution of Kenya, which requires the states to take measures to ensure young women access education, training, and employment. So this includes the Women and Girls in STEM. We also have the Basic Education Act, which promotes equal access to education for women, boys, and girls in science and technology subjects. It also prohibits discrimination on any ground, including sex. The Universities Act of 2012 also requires public universities to implement gender policies that promote women participation in science and technology. It also encourages institutions to offer scholarship opportunities for women and girls who are pursuing courses in STEM. We have the Employment Act of 2007 that discourages discrimination of any form based on gender and promotes and protects equal pay for equal work for anybody, including women and girls in science. We also have the Technical and Vocational Education and Training Act of 2013 that ensures gender parity in technical education and vocational training. We also have the Kenya Vision 2030. It is a national development plan that promotes gender equality in education and employment, particularly in STEM fields. It also encourages initiatives that support women and girls in science and innovation. We also, aside from these laws, we have the affirmative action policies that promote the 2/3 gender rule that stipulates that no more than 2/3 of any gender should be in any elective or appointive body. So this includes scientific institutions. So this ensures that women are included or they are well represented in elective positions and even appointive positions. Having looked at the legislation that we have in place, we can say that we have robust legislation that protects and promotes inclusion of women and girls in science. Now, having this robust legislation, we still encounter challenges. There are challenges that comes with the implementation of the laws that we have. So we will look at them. So first of all, we may have the lack of political goodwill. So yes, we have the laws, but sometimes implementing them can be harder because of lack of political goodwill. The other issue could be resource constraints. So many African countries grapple with limited financial and technical resources. They will focus on other urgent issues, or they will prefer to focus on other urgent issues, and then these issues of implementation of women and girls can come later. So this poses a great challenge into the implementation of the laws that we already have. Although some countries have already made strides in implementing these laws, there's also the issue of lack of awareness and education gaps. You might find that some of the communities and even girls and women may not have be aware that they have certain rights that need to be implemented. So this knowledge gap impedes the formulation of targeted policies and initiatives. We also have institutional fragility. Some African nations may suffer inadequately developed institutional framework and coordination mechanisms, so which are necessary for effective implementation of these laws. This poses a great challenge to the implementation of the laws promoting inclusion of women and girls in science. We also have issues to deal with inequality and vulnerability. So you find that women and girls normally are the most vulnerable in a society. So if you subject them to discrimination poverty, deficient infrastructure, and limited access to education and healthcare. These factors exacerbate the already vulnerable state that they are in. So we need to look at what we have, the resources and the infrastructure that we have, and use whatever we have so that we can empower the girls and women in science. Then we also have, in some countries, legal and policy shortcomings. So some African nations and states may lack comprehensive legal framework that explicitly address women's rights. Then lastly, under this subtopic, conflict and instability. Conflict and political instability has really hindered implementation and safeguarding of women's rights in science and technology. So if there is a way of addressing the conflicts, or rather protecting the women and the girls in science during the times of conflict so that they do not drop out of school, then that would be the best way to make sure that they continue to be empowered. Lastly, we will look at the role of African lawyers in promoting women's participation in science. So we as lawyers, what can we do so that we ensure that we promote inclusion and mutual understanding for women and girls in science? So first of all, we can do what we do best. We can play an important role in litigating cases that are related to discrimination, harassment, and unequal opportunities in the scientific field. So this way we will be creating precedents that will protect and secure and empower the future generations of women scientists. So this has been done before. Actually, there was like landmark cases, for instance, in Kenya, the ones that were dealing with the affirmative action, the gender role in Kenya. So there was an advisory opinion from the Supreme Court of Kenya regarding the underrepresentation of women in parliament. And then there was also another case that was filed by FIDA Kenya, where they were championing the gender role in appointive positions. So this is a great way to protect the women and the future generations of girls and women in science. Then we can also advocate for gender responsive laws and policies. If maybe an audit can be done on the laws and see whether there are any lacuna and how that can be dealt with, so that we ensure that we have comprehensive laws protecting the women and girls in science. Then we can also promote legal awareness and education by, let's say, having webinars, physical sessions with women and girls in science, so that they are empowered on their rights, how to protect themselves, the kind of contracts they should enter into, protect their intellectual properties for the women and science, women and girls who are creatives. Yeah. So we can also have a comprehensive legal framework for inclusion and empowerment. So this ensures that we look at the policies that deal with the employment, hiring policies, remuneration policies, so that we ensure that women and girls in science are subjected to the same standards as men. Then lastly, we need to have like a monitoring mechanism to ensure that we take a stock record of the status of the women and girls in science and compare it to check whether there is improvement in implementation of the laws regarding the women and girls, and also taking to ensure that everyone complies with those laws. So this in essence ensures that our women and girls in science are protected by the laws that we have in place. So in conclusion, I would say that we have robust laws. What we only need to do is to make sure that these laws are implemented, and there are checks and balances to ensure that everyone is in compliance with the said laws. We can also involve the local law enforcement agencies to ensure that if there are any challenges with regards to school attendance for women and girls, then it is easier to check. For instance, now in our country, sometimes you find maybe the chief and the local law enforcement agencies go maybe door to door to just check whether there are maybe primary school students and primary who are at home yet they're supposed to be in school. This ensures that there's no one left behind. Everyone is in school and they are completing their education as it should be. So thank you so much for this opportunity. This marks the end of my presentation.
Merci beaucoup, Maître Flora.
Flora Chebet, you are a managing partner for and lawyer too at the level of the High Court in Kenya. Thank you. Thank you for your brilliant presentation. I would like to remind you before doing a sort of summary of Flora's presentation, we have a interpretation available. So you can just click on the bottom of your screen on the globe and select the language of you want. So we will also have a sort of interaction between panelists and participants. So all those who want to ask some questions will be able to do it either by sending a message or by raising their hands. So we will have some minutes to for that. Thank you to Lawyer Flora, and I would like to come back on the theme of her presentation. It was dealing with a moment, please. I'm trying to get it. Okay. She started by talking about human. So she started by talking about the various challenges related to women's representativity within the framework of science. And I will say that to you, Mr. Chair of the PALU also highlighted it. We have that those women who are recognized as researchers or women who earned the Nobel Prize within the framework of that field. So she also came back on various aspects, and in her conclusion, she said all the aspects, we all have this aspect, but we should make sure that these texts are implemented. And she called upon our accountability.
So she called our attention regarding the challenge we are facing as advocates, so that we follow the different cases of discrimination and to see the implementation of these laws. Also to participate in developing laws in this field. So now we are going to move to the second speaker, who is Maître Richard Ilunga Bisholonga, who is co-chair of the Committee Environment of PALU. I do not know whether he's connected. Maître Richard Lunga, he's going to talk about women and girls in science and environment. Over to you, Maître Richard Ilunga. Over to you. Thank you very much, Madam Moderator, for the floor. In my turn, I would like to thank Maître Simon Solange for adding me to among the panelists. I would like to greet the chairperson of the Pan-African Union Lawyers Union, PALU, Maître Abdul Kari, for the efforts made for the smooth work of this organ. Without further ado, I'm going to address the topic entitled Women and Girls in Science in the current environment, or women, girls, and girls in this current environment. So we have structured our presentation. We have structured it in a plan. So we have a first of all, an introduction where we're going to talk about the efforts made to involve women in development. Second, involvement of women in managing environment. The third part will be dedicated to the objectives behind training women and girls in science. So we all know that science is a reality which can be demonstrated and verified. During the United Nations General Assembly in 2015, especially on the 11th February, an International Day, Women's Day in Science has been declared. And as the president, the chairperson, Abdul Kari has already underlined it, we have to pay a deserved tribute to all women in science in the world, and Madame Marie Curie, and her daughter, who has also been a very important figure in science. And then we should understand not only science, but also we have to understand environment. We're not going to dwell on scientific definitions, but I would like to give you a very wide definition that defines the environment as everything that surrounds us. So the environment is everything that surrounds us, the trees, the plants, animals, buildings, everything. And even a human being is part and parcel of the environment. So everything surrounding us is environment. So in our sub-team entitled Women and Girls in Science and the Environment, we are going to try to see how efforts have been made to involve women in the management of environment and the involvement of women in this management, and why women should be equipped scientifically in this field of environment. So the effort to involve women in environment management, as mentioned by Maître Flora and the chairperson Abdul Kari. It is during the 4th World Conference on Women held in Beijing in 1995 that the plan of action has been adopted, underlining the necessity and the need to involve actively women at all levels of decision-making, especially regarding environment, and to integrate a gender-sensitive perspective in all strategies in the field of sustainable development. Not only in Beijing conference, but also during the 44th session of the Commission on the Human Condition of the United Nations in 1997, the issue of women and environment was dealt with. And here, it was underlined that it is necessary to involve women in developing the environmental policy and all the actions made to protect the environment. In this prospect, many countries have adopted this perspective and implemented it in their internal policy. It is the case of Canada, Colombia, Cote d'Ivoire, and many other countries, and also it is the case of my country, the DRC. Regarding the involvement of women in environment management, women, thanks to their empowerment, are able to contribute to the design and planning, and as well as the implementation of projects. As I mentioned it, we're going to develop the progresses made over time. So we have tried to see what happens in Portugal. In Portugal, there was a woman who had to manage the Ministry of Environment, not only in Portugal, but also in Canada, where a system of financial support to women were established to facilitate their participation in environment promotion. In Tunisia, 36% of women in the Ministry of Sustainable Development are occupied by women, and 19% of the staff of this Ministry of Environment is constituted by women who are in leadership positions. So it is a major involvement of women in environment management. In Jamaica, women, especially in the Department of Forestry, occupy 37% of the positions and 6% of the administrative staff. So we can see that women is being really involved in environmental management. In China, according to statistics dating to 1997, 38% of the staff of the Department of Environmental Protection is occupied by women. And in the South African Republic, South Africa, I mean, there was a woman leading the Ministry of Forestry. And the DRC too, we had the Vice Minister in charge of Environment, and the current Minister of Environment and Sustainable Development is a lady, is a woman, a female, a minister, Madame Lezaiba. So you can see that by implementing the various legal instruments mentioned by Maître Flora, some countries are striving to implement these policies to eliminate the inequalities between women and men. So we can see that women are really involved in environmental management, even though many efforts has to be made. Regarding the DRC, we have to underline that some women occupy leadership positions in the field of environment. We have 6 women directors in key directorates, and these are developments to encourage in our country and to be duplicated in your countries too. Regarding the objective behind training young girls in environmental sciences, we have to indicate that in spite of the efforts made, women with the scientific knowledge in the field of environment is very low and very limited. And since women has an important role to play in preserving environment and natural resources and promotion of sustainable development, we have to strive to strengthen this part. So women should be well equipped in the field of environment so that they become competitive in managing environment. Today in the DRC, we have scientific branches dedicated to environment, and even in the University of Kinshasa, there is a faculty dedicated to environment, and many girls have registered there. The objective is to strengthen their capacity so that they can actively manage the environment, because the first victims of the adverse effects of climate change, we all know, are women and young girls, which are exposed to the difficulties of social life, as indicated by Maître Flora. So we, and they are really the first victims. They have to be involved in fighting poverty, and also they should show good health to secure a healthy environment. Therefore, the objective of this sub-theme is to equip women even more than today in the field of environment, so that they can engage in many actions. They should be informed on the concepts of alleviation, resilience, adaptation, the causes of climate change, the effects of climate change, because when women will be equipped with all such information, they will be able to adapt and also to be able to carry out mitigation activities. They will be able to adopt behaviors, appropriate behaviors, so that they can address climate changes. And I know that in the field of environment, a lot has to be said, can be said, in addition to what we are presenting. And thank you very much. Thank you very much, Maître Richard Onga, Chairperson of the Committee on Environment at PALU. Thank you for your brilliant presentation on the topic Women and Girls in Science and Environment. You have talked about the involvement of women in managing the environment, and after that, you concluded by tackling the objectives of training women on environment. Environment has become a global challenge, so it is important that the women who are the first victims of climate change should be trained and informed. They should be protected. We had the opportunity to come back to this topic when we will address the questions raised by the participants at the end of this webinar. Thank you once again, Mr. Maître Richard. Without further ado, we are going to move on to the third speaker of today, who is last but not least. I have the honor and privilege to invite Madame, the representative of the President of the Bar Association for the Central, South and East region from the Association of Cameroon. She has been advocate for more than 30 years, and she's going to talk about the theme empowering women and girls. I don't know whether she's already connected because she has some challenges. And also given the time lag, because of the time in Cameroon, it was difficult to get everybody on board from Cameroon. I don't know whether she's connected so that she makes her presentation dedicated to the empowerment of women and girls. Madame, are you here? Yes, she's connected. I can see her. Madame, are you here? Maître Fuigom, are you with us? The floor is yours. She's going to talk about the empowerment of women and girls. So this is a webinar organized by PALU on especially the Women's Forum. So welcome, Madam Adeline Boigum. So this webinar is organized by PALU, presented by its president, its chair, Mr. Pali. And I would like to thank all the panelists for taking the time to come and talk about the various topics registered for today. We heard, listen to Maître Flora, who is advocate to the High Court of Kenya. We have also listened to Maître Richard Ilunga Bishilunga. Is Maître Adeline Fogum with us? If so, you have the floor on the topic empowering women and girls. Thank you, dear Edith. Good morning to all panelists. Could you open your mic?
Votre micro est coupé.
No, you are audible. We can hear her, says the chair. I can hear you, says the chairperson. We are sorry for the slight shortage because of connection issues. Can you hear me? Yes, you are audible. We can hear you. You are audible. Hello? Yes, we can hear you. Good morning. Good morning, Mr. Chairperson of PALU. Good morning, Madam Moderator. Good morning, Flora. Good morning, Richard. Good morning, everyone. A special good morning to the Chairperson. I have the privilege and the pleasure to participate to this webinar on the topic empowering women and girls in science, which is a real challenge for development. On the issue of empowerment, the definition of this concept has been addressed a lot. I won't dwell on it. So why are we now raising this issue of empowerment of women and girls? It is because all the development policies, all the policies on women and girls empowerment established so far have allowed some progress, but this progress was not very significant. Therefore, today we have to wonder why such a situation. I think that the reasons behind the level today, in spite of all the debate, whatever in Beijing or in different international meetings or in the various treaties ratified by our countries, in order to implement the rights of women, this convention should be implemented in favor of the rights of women and girls. To date, we can see that there are some hurdles which are of sociological, cultural, economic nature. They can be also personal to women, and also they can be related to the environment. So it is not easy, which is not women friendly. When I talk about the sociological factors, I'm speaking about basic education, the customs used and habits used in our different countries, which have been a break to development of women and girls empowerment. But thanks to the various texts taken, and especially in Cameroon, Article 45 of our Constitution, it stipulates that when a convention or a treaty have been ratified by Cameroon, it becomes a higher level. It will have a supremacy to the various laws in Cameroon. Same thing regarding the jurisprudence in general in our country, which provides for that when a customs is not in line with the law, we apply the jurisprudence or the modern law, which means that finally the customs which is contrary to the law cannot be implemented. Now, regarding the recognition of the rights of women, and given that many constitutions of our countries are in conformity with the Universal Declaration of Women's and People's Rights, that says that all humankind are born equal, today women and girls have the right to life, to school, to education, to employment, like all other members of the society. But all depends on the implementation. Still on the sociological field, of course, the legal aspect should be improved. I'm not going to list all the conventions. Still, at the sociological level, we can talk about education that has insisted on making a difference between women and men, especially in accessing some positions. So women and girls are lagging behind also in terms of education. For example, in the scientific world, until recently, the quota of women in scientific careers and technological careers is still lagging behind. And the percentages are very low. Percentage of women trade in this field. The rate is not as high as that of women. Very often, we tell our children that women should clean the house while her brother, who is a child of the family, can watch a football match, a soccer match on TV. So all what is related to cleaning the house is for women, and the leisure is for men. So the parents themselves are giving such an education, thinking that this is the normal order. So starting from this point of view, we can see that whatever we want it or no, there are things to do. Regarding the personal aspects, the woman herself is a problem for herself, because till now, very few women dare, for example, in the political field, the scientific field, they can not dare to work in these fields. The number of school girls in the scientific branches is not high, or was not high, but there was some progress over the last years. And the challenge today is to continue sensitizing the population and parents and young girls that she can dare and go ahead. Whatever around us, in our country, in Africa, in the world, we have to say such things. Now, economically speaking, the economic barriers have been lasting for a long time and have been a break to the empowerment of women. And this is another challenge facing them with the popularization of laws, popularization of women's rights. They can access the economic field to establish businesses even at rural level. They can have businesses, but today the point is to continue explaining them and also explaining to the world that the success cannot be only for men, it should be also for women. So we have to show cases in the world and around them. I will also talk about the reasons or the causes, the institutional reasons and causes. In many countries, we talk about the women's rights and promotion of women's rights, but is this political will accompanied and supported by very tangible actions? How many women are ministers of health? I'm taking this example. How many women are appointed to key positions so that we can say that in this country we have 50% of women leaders in decision-making positions and 50% of men in decision-making positions, the full balance. So today, after making such a situational analysis, we can say that there was some progress, but still a lot remains to be done. But how to do it? First, we have to change mindset and help women, mindsets of women and girls, but also mindsets of men. We should implement policies and actions, but the results are not the ones expected. So we have to assess the policies. And at micro and macro levels, we should revisit the causes and reasons I mentioned, and whatever the NGOs or the state, we should make sure that mechanism systems are established so that girls are educated not only to succeed at school, but also to make her understand that beyond her degrees, she can dare and run and compete for elective positions, like in National Assembly, the Parliament, and why not at the head of the states? The decision makers should align to the minimum quota adopted within the framework of the various conventions at the national level, because many women are trained, enough women are trained, and in scientific programs, the society should facilitate the integration of women and girls and encourage them to follow such scientific branches. So in order to integrate and promote women and girls, we have to get enough trained and equipped women and girls. Without this, we can do nothing. So the key is first the awareness, the sensibility, the education, the awareness before improving the legal, social, political, and economic framework. In our countries, we have enough infrastructure, enough schools, enough universities, and everybody, women or men, can follow scientific studies with the artificial intelligence. Today we can indeed reach this objective. Thank you very much. Hello. Thank you very much, Madam Representative of the President of the Bar Association. Thank you. We have listened to you carefully. I would like to recall to all participants that interpretation is available in English and French. So for those who have difficulties to understand one language, to use the interpretation facility provided to them, French or English. Thank you very much, Madam Adeline, representative of the President of the Bar Association, East, Central, and South, and also advocate for more than 30 years. Thank you for tackling this issue. So she took stock of the situation, talking about the challenges, economic, personal, and even institutional. And then she talked about the challenges to take up and the possible solutions. Thank you very much. I must say that afterwards we will have a discussion. It will be very short because we will have so many activities to celebrate this week dedicated to women. So panelists are busy on the ground.
Even Madam Representative, she should attend another webinar. So thank you for your availability. Maybe she can stay a bit with us because later on there will be questions and answers. So let us now move to the fourth speaker, the secretary of the Cameroon Bar Association, Madame Nyogo, who will talk about the advancements 30 years after Beijing. It's worth mentioning that we are now at the 30th year of the Declaration Beijing program, and this program is still the most approved framework in favor of women and girls. So, Madam, so the Secretary of the Cameroon Bar Association, you have the floor, please. Good morning, everyone. I hope I'm audible. Thank you. I opened my microphone. So let me move a bit fast. As you said, I hope my picture is not visible because I'm wearing the sports outfit and I'm coming from an activity still within the framework of the International Women's Day. I would like to say a good morning to all the participants present here in this conference. And I would like to thank the chair of PALU and the chair of PALU Women, Maître Solange. Thank you to Edith. Thank you for all the opportunities that you provide to us in order for us to talk about this Beijing Convention 30 years later. What is the Beijing Convention? The Beijing Convention is also called the Beijing Action Program. It's a statement that was adopted in September 1995 in China. and which was aiming at promoting gender equality and improve women living conditions worldwide. So we had that Global Women Forum, and today we are celebrating the 30th birthday of this association on the occasion of the 14th edition of the International Women Day. And it is now time for us to make a sort of balance sheet. And I would like to seize the occasion to congratulate all the previous speakers. They made very brilliant presentations, and that's what also my colleague, Madame Fuegum, said. And it's worth mentioning that if we had some improvements, it is worth mentioning that we still have a long way to go. And this is also what the two previous speakers said, those speakers who took the floor before me. So we are still on the within the framework of this celebration, and I still remind, as if it was yesterday, and the program at that time set key objectives that were to be respected by each countries. And among other objectives, we had some actions to be implemented in some domains, fields like health and education, political participation of women, and women rights. So these are some goals that were set in some states, and it is also important to say that we also had the fight against gender-based violence. And today, have these goals been achieved? We should admit that since the adoption of these laws, many things have been done. A normative framework has been put in place. Many initiatives have also been implemented in order to fight against gender inequalities. We also had made several discussions that were taken into account. And if we have to talk about each sector, I would like to come back on public policies. Many countries adopted some laws aiming at promoting gender equality. It's a fact. We had some laws in order to protect women's rights. And in terms of domestic violence, harassment, Cameroon is to be congratulated. It's true that gender and salary inequality is rampant in many countries in Africa, but in Cameroon, we have some improvements, and we also have a huge participation of women in politics. And we have more women elected in parliament and in local areas. So talk about education, women's are more and more going to school, especially in developing countries, where we have some specific programs that have been designed in order to reduce disparities and fight against gender inequalities. Within the framework of health, we still have some improvements that are to be commended, with a better sensitization on women's rights at that level. So I think that where we really noticed a very huge improvement is on this awareness raising campaigns, and the proof is that many meetings like this one we are attending today are organized around the world and in Africa. Feminist movements and awareness raising campaigns on women's rights gained a lot of audience, and we are using now social media. We are using various platforms in order to fight for women's rights. So I think that these achievements should, first of all, be commended. Gender-based violence, or violence against women And domestic violence is a huge issue in our society, despite all the laws that I mentioned. And it is also worth mentioning that this is reducing. And let me talk about, for example, the female genital mutilation in some regions of Africa. It's true that we are not always happy to talk about these achievements because they are not yet really uh, uh, really concrete. But if I'm to talk about achievements in Cameroon we have many laws that have been adopted in order to promote gender equality. Let me talk about the law on parity in politics that was adopted in 2012. Despite the long way we still have to make, there are some achievements and some improvements in Cameroon. We have many organizations that have been that were created in order to better fight against domestic violence. On the health sector, many NGOs are playing an important role on reproductive health. We have movements like Me Too, SIDA, other sensitization initiative. Even the Cameroon Bar Association is raising awareness on issues like harassment and violence. So I will say that 30 years later, uh, we had some significant improvements, but challenges are still present. And let me now talk about some figures. And I will focus myself on a very interesting field, justice. Justice in justice, when we talk about justice in Cameroon, women are not really well represented. We have 10 regions in Cameroon, 10 courts of appeal, but none of them, and I'm talking about courts of appeal in Cameroon, we think that it's just a men matter. So over 10 courts of appeal, we have 3 of them that were given to women. I'm talking about chairs, but no general court of appeal is managed by a woman. So 60 years later, that is 30 years before Beijing and 30 years after Beijing, no woman is at the head of a Supreme Court. No woman is the chair of the Constitutional Council. No woman is occupying a high level position at the level of justice. So 30 years before Beijing, 30 years after Beijing, no woman became a barrister of the Cameroon Bar Association. So let me talk about other figures because I'm talking about the Cameroon Bar Association and I'm a lawyer in Cameroon, and as secretary of the order, I have some figures. So I prepared some for you. We have had almost 100 of council members of the association. Until now, only 17 women were members of the bar council, and only 2 women were chair of the General Assembly. So it's a proof that we still have a long way to go. And if we take the example of Cameroon, and I also try to visit other countries in Africa, no woman became general of army in Africa till date. So it's true, there are some achievements. It's true, we have some normative frameworks that were implemented, but we still have a long way to go. I will certainly invite, and it's even a message that I would like to forward you, a message to the chair of PALU, who, since PALU is existing, I will admit that I attended the last General Assembly in Togo before COVID-19, many commissions were put in place, and I was happy that some women were nominated in various commissions in Togo. So for me, it's an improvement, and I would like to tell to these men at high-level positions, and let me also talk about my barrister who used to say that he's very sensitive to women issues, and I seized the occasion to thank him a lot because within the framework of his mandate, he gave some responsibilities to women, and I am the proof of that. So I think that's the proof that we should think about women. We had 3 secretaries of the Cameroon Bar Association, and he appointed one. I'm the one he appointed, and he appointed also a woman to lead 3 regions. So this is also something that is to be put on his credit, and we should also make more recommendations, more suggestions to authorities who are trying to occupy all the important positions. So it's a sort of call for help that I'm launching, especially for women. We are talking about autonomization. We are talking about equality. So this goes also through our participation. Women should support other women. Women should not just be considered as obstacles or hurdles. So while waiting for men to also promote us, let us, among ourselves, learn how to encourage each other, learn how to support each other. And it's also thanks to such behaviors that men will also consider us. So I would like to express my satisfaction after the initiative that helped the 2016 youth to get an internship. And I would say that the number of young women who succeeded who successfully passed the exam and joined the profession is very interesting. I will not, for some reasons, give the real figures, but let me tell you that more women are interested in these professions. So it's up to us to accompany them, to support them, so that these women, future lawyers, will be of a great help in the future. So thank you once more. I will stop here, and I stay connected for the next part of the program. So I will give you back the floor, Edith. Thank you for your kind attention. Thank you, Maître Agnola de Gorgnoro, the Secretary of the Cameroon Bar Association. So she was speaking on the theme 30 years after Beijing. What are the achievements? So on the occasion of this 41st edition of the Women International Day, I would like to say thank you. I understand you didn't put the video because you are involved or committed in various activities, and during this week in which we are celebrating women's rights, I talked about celebration, but when I talk about celebration, it means also a moment to talk about women's rights achievements 30 years after the Beijing Conference in China, 1995, 2025. What next? You mentioned various achievements. You talked about some goals that were set during that conference in the program that was adopted by many countries. 189 countries ratified and signed that convention, and the goals were clear: end violence against women. At the level of health, also, we had some goals. And you took some examples in Cameroon in order to talk about the various improvements, achievements. The law exists, but we should better implement them. And you also made a remark. You said we still have some challenges to overcome. You took the example of the justice field, where women are not really well represented. I heard a speaker who said in Kenya we had huge improvements there. Maybe she will come back on it, because we are going to move to the interactive session. If you have any a question, if there are questions coming from the participants, you are free to ask your question in the Q&A session platform. So in order for us to better answer. So later on, we are now going to give the floor to the barrister of the Cameroon Bar Association and move with other activities, because as I told you, I'm sure every one of us has a busy schedule. Is there any question? Any intervention? Any question? The panelists are all ears. They are ready to answer all the questions that will be raised. We started more than an hour ago, so I think it's now the time to give the floor to the barrister to conclude this webinar. Thank you to the chair of PALU. Thank you to the co-chair of the Women PALU Forum, Maître Solange. So, Mr. Barrister, are you there, please? Are you online? You have the floor.
Endeavor, this initiative to organize this come together so that you can talk to identify key issues about the ladies. I was watching something the other day on TikTok. It was about this Ethiopian lady who is the first to fly the biggest aircraft ever made. She is in Dubai. And they narrated the story, the challenges that she went through in a profession that was predominantly male. I know most of the things the women have to struggle and fight for. It has never been easy. We respect you as our mothers. We respect you as our sisters, because in every family, I understand that even if you are not a mother to cover the children and give them that protection, you are there as a sister to give some social security. Do not in any way undermine the role that you as ladies you play. If you were to appreciate it from how much people thank you or recognize your input in society, I can assure you it is not going to be easy. I feel at every one moment very, very humble when I see women delving into a lot of domains, particularly domains which people think that they are supposed to be predominantly men or masculine. I have that you people are very, very much facing the challenge. The legal profession in which we are, it is not up to recent that the women too started coming in. Now it is even about the leadership. We are looking forward to having ladies hold positions on leadership, even right to the helm. It is our wish. One thing I want to suggest, or I would have loved, is that let this kind of meeting, you people should do this crusade more often. The woman in the society, is still very, very ignorant. I want to tell you that we are in an African society where we still think that the woman is meant for marriage. I give you even the few of you who are very learned. You have a boy child, you have a girl child. All most women will do is, when a girl child is not well organized, she's not doing this, she's not doing that, all they say is, you are not going to make a good wife. You are not going to make a good wife. They prepare the female child more for marriage, and they prepare the male child for the industrial world, for the capitalistic world, for the business world, for the intellectual world, for the scientific world. I think we should start changing this paradigm. Let us give our children the basic need, the basic education, and let us give them equal. I seem to say so because perhaps I am actually fond of the girls, because I, as a father, I have 3 girls and 1 boy. And I don't respect anybody who does not respect the girl child. I don't. So it is my conviction. And when Solange talked to me about giving the closing remark for this webinar, I said, it is my honor. It is a privilege for me to do that. And to tell you how much I, on behalf of the Cameroon Bar, we are ready to accompany you in any measure, in any mission that you set out to see how you can better the life of the African woman, of the girl child as a whole. I challenge the secretary of the bar, I challenge the representative of the bar for the Center, South, and East region, that you people should organize more of this. There's a lot that is going on with the girl child. There's a lot of abuse. I know the Human Rights Commission, the Social Commission, they are doing quite something to do to see how they can protect the girl child. I know I have drifted quite a lot from the topic which deals more with science, but my preoccupation is because before we even get to that scientific level, we need to get from this rudimentary level to see how we can get up even to a better level. And it is only by giving them the fundamental equal access to education that we can even think that the girl child can do anything in the science world. When the girl child, from the days they have to take her to go to the farm, she has to stay back home to take care of the younger ones while the boy child goes to school. Oh no. I remember I was reading, I think it was in Tanzania, where they said the head of state came out with a decree saying that where a student impregnates her mate, when the girl child goes home because she has to go put to bed, the boy who impregnated that child should equally be sent away to go stay until that girl is coming back. Those are some of the things you, the ladies, need to fight for, because it is not just at this level to say how much women get access into or what is their role in the science domain, but we are saying that a lot of the girl children, a lot of the women are still in the very rudimentary state. They are still in the very rudimentary state. Just like it is said, a journey of 1,000 miles begins at all moments with a step. You have started. Let us not wait until it is Women's Day or it is Women's Week that we think that we can do this. Let us, at various intervals, get this crusade. Let us get the ladies, just like I saw the secretary of the bar. I was very impressed. I saw her yesterday in Kumba, where she went to visit some female institution. And I can tell you that by just visiting those institutions, informing them that you are a lawyer, you are the number 2 in command in the Cameroon Bar, you cannot believe that there are some of those girl children, there are some of those students, the girls, who will make up their mind. They'll be determined just from seeing you. Say that, I make up my mind today, I shall be a lawyer. I shall be this, I shall be this. So by going frequently to meet them, interacting with them, you cannot undermine how much you inspire them. you cannot undermine how much you inspire them. There's a lot of inspiration that comes to the younger ones when you go close to them. So all of you are women of caliber. All of you are women of distinct achievement, and you should not let it down. Thank you once more for to talk on this webinar. Thank you, Madame la SO. Thank you, Madame la RB. Thank you, Solange. Thank you, the authorities of the Pan-African Union. I feel just so honored, Edith. Thank you for given me the floor. I think I will be there any day, anytime. God bless you all.
Merci infiniment, Monsieur le bâtonnier de l'Ordre des avocats du Cameroun. Merci, merci pour votre mot de clôture. Je ne vais rien ajouter après vous. Je dirais juste merci à tous les panélistes. Merci beaucoup, Madame la représentante du bâtonnier pour les régions Centre-Est.
Of the Bar Associations. Thank you to the Secretary of the Cameroon Bar Association. Thank you to Maître Flora from the Kenya Bar Association. Thank you to Mrs. Ilunga. To all of you, thank you. Thank you to the co-chair of the Women Program of Palu and the chair of Palu, Maître Abdoubaki. So I know the webinar has been recorded, so the link or the record will be made available on the Palu site. So I encourage you to share the link. Maybe there are many people who were not able to attend this meeting because of the connection issue or any other problem, and they will be glad to benefits from this webinar or this record. So thank you very much, and happy International Women's Day. Thank you.
Staff de Palu, au staff technique. Merci.
Merci une fois de plus. C'était un grand honneur pour moi. C'était un grand privilège pour le barreau du Cameroun. Merci et bonne fête.
Thank
pour
you,
nos mamans,
Mr.
pour nos sœurs, pour nos tantines, pour nous tous, nos bébés, comment dirais-je, nos conseillers, nos ministres d'Intérieur et tous qui compris. Bonne journée.
Merci, Monsieur le bâtonnier. Merci.
Madame la modératrice, est-ce qu'il y aura une séance de questions ou alors on peut se déconnecter? Et si c'est le cas, on vous remercie infiniment. On peut se déconnecter.
Oui, vous pouvez
merci
vous déconnecter.
Infiniment.
Merci beaucoup. Le lien sera disponible.
Merci infiniment. Merci au Palu, merci à vous-même et merci à tous les panélistes. Et merci à nos chers participants. C'était un plaisir pour moi. Au revoir et bonne fête.
Merci, Madame la secrétaire de l'Ordre.
Merci beaucoup, Madame Edith. Merci à tout le monde et bonne continuité de la journée.
Merci.